Good afternoon, sir, and how are we today?
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're counting down our picks for the most hilarious sketches and scenes from Monty Python's television series and films. And now for something completely different.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Seize him! Seize him! Blow your noses and seize him!
Number 20, Upper Class Twit of the Year, Monty Python's Flying Circus.
They're off! Oh, no, they're not. No, they didn't realise they were supposed to start.
There's nothing like a bit of sport, and Monty Python have their own unique take on the sort of pageantry of upper-class athletics.
And now they're coming into their first test, the straight line. They've got to walk along this straight line without falling over. And Oliver's over at the back there.
5 of the Pythons play an assortment of increasingly ridiculously named rich idiots who engage in the titular competition to determine who's the biggest old money dullard of the year.
And now it's kicking the beggar. Simon's there and he's putting the bogey in. And not terribly hard. There's a lot of style and the beggar's down, so Simon can move on.
Each event consists of either something absurdly easy for someone of average intelligence, or plays into the kind of boorish behaviour seen among the privileged that the rest of us find irritating. And it's all brought together by John Cleese's announcer, whose enthusiastic running commentary is truly a delight. The twits may be racing to early graves, but for the audience, it's a race for which event makes us laugh loudest.
And so the final result, upper class twit of the year, Gervais Brookhamster of Kensington.
Number 19, Mr. Creos Sort, Monty Python's The Meaning of Life.
Good afternoon, sir, and how are we today?
Better
Better?
get a bucket. I'm gonna throw up.
The eponymous Mr. Creosote is a comically obese and odious man who dines at a restaurant and proceeds to projectile vomit into a provided bucket and anything else nearby. The unflappable French waiter takes his absurdly large order and sees to his spewing with the same professionalism.
Oh dear, I have trodden in Monsieur's bucket.
After Mr. Creosote has finished his impossibly large meal, the waiter offers a wafer thin mint to cap it all off and then runs for cover. The resulting explosion is literally gut-busting for Creosote and often the audience. Love it or lose your lunch to it, no one is ever quite the same after watching the Mr. Creosote sketch. Number 18. What have the Romans ever done for us? Monty Python's Life of Brian. Judea is an ever-contentious region, and its people don't take kindly to the Romans showing up.
We're giving Pilate 2 days to dismantle the entire apparatus of the Roman imperialist state, and if he doesn't agree immediately, we execute her. Cut her head off! Cut all her bits off!
The People's Front of Judea is one such resistance group, among many with similar names. As the group detail their plans to kidnap Pontius Pilate's wife, their leader, Reg, questions what the Romans have ever given them.
And what have they ever given us in return? The aqueduct? What? The aqueduct?
The group then proceeds to answer his rhetorical question literally by listing all the good things the Romans have brought or instituted since they took over.
But apart from the sanitation, the aqueduct and the roads... Irrigation. Medicine. Education. Yeah, all right, fair enough. And the wine.
It's a wonderful satire of everyone who complains about the government. Reg's rant and the resulting response are just perfect.
What have the Romans ever done for us? Brought peace? Oh, peace! Shut up!
Number 17. Stoning, Monty Python's Life of Brian. The entirety of Life of Brian parodies religion and mob mentality, but few scenes encapsulate both quite as well as this one.
You have been found guilty by the elders of the town of uttering the name of our Lord, and so as a blasphemer, you are to be stoned to death.
When an older man is charged, apparently by his wife, of speaking the name of God, he's sentenced to be stoned to death. John Cleese plays the childishly put-upon religious official, while the mob is full of women dressed as men, some of whom are played by men.
Come on. Sorry, I thought we started. Go to the back.
The ensuing dogmatic arguments over what does and doesn't constitute blasphemy, and everyone's inability to talk about the accused's crime without saying Jehovah themselves, is comedic gold. What was that saying about casting the first stone?
Right, well, you did say Jehovah.
Number 16. Self-defense. Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Well, I was showing you how to defend yourself against anyone who attacks you armed with a piece of fresh fruit.
You promised we wouldn't do fruit this week.
What do you mean?
John Cleese plays plenty of unhinged lunatics, but this is arguably one of his most bizarre. Cleese plays an instructor in a self-defense class. His reluctant students are instructed in the esoteric art of defending oneself against attackers armed with fresh fruit.
When you're all walking home tonight and some homicidal maniac comes after you with a bunch of Loganberries, don't come crying to me!
The students are eager to learn something useful. The teacher's forceful, crazed demeanour eventually convinces one of them to come at him with a banana.
Now, come on, attack me! Come on!
The ending varies depending on the version, but the result is the same. The teacher just kills them.
Come at me then! Come on, do your worst, you worm!
As hysterical as this scene is, we have so many questions. Like, why do the students keep attending class? How has the teacher not lost his job? And which fruit traumatised him so?
First thing to do when you're being stalked by an ugly mob with raspberries is to release the tiger!
Number 15. Biggest Dickas. Monty Python's Life of Brian. This famous scene sees Michael Palin as Pontius Pilate. The lisping Roman governor has captured the titular Brian, who claims to have had a Roman father.
What's funny about Biggest Dickas? Well, it's a joke name, sir. I have a very great friend in Rome called Biggest Dickas.
Although the chief guard is dismissive of the name Brian provides for his dad, as it's clearly a joke name, like Biggest Dickas, Pilate says nothing wrong. His best friend is named Biggest Dickas. What follows is a Herculean task for Pilate's guards, as they struggle not to laugh at the juvenile moniker.
Do you find it risible when I say the name Biggest Dickas?
According to Palin's own diary, he kept improvising to ensure the extras were always on the verge of laughter. Of course, the name of Biggest Dickas' wife pushes everyone over the edge.
Incontinentia buttocks.
Number 14. Four Yorkshiremen. At last, the 1948 show. Yes, Python sticklers out there, technically this isn't an original Monty Python sketch. While it does predate Python, it was written by two of its members, and they performed it many times, so we're counting it.
We used to live in a tiny, tumble-down old house with great holes in the roof. House? You're lucky to have a house. We used to live in one room, 26 of us.
The sketch sees a group of four wealthy men from Yorkshire enjoying a drink together as they reminisce about their childhoods in poverty.
We lived for 3 months in a rolled-up newspaper in a septic tank. Every morning we'd have to get up at 6, clean out rolled-up newspaper, eat a crust of stale bread, then we'd have to work 14 hours at mill, day in, day out, for 6pence a week.
Their nostalgia quickly turns to competition, as each seems determined to outdo the other with how bad they had it in the old days. The descriptions of their abysmal living conditions range from appalling to downright impossible.
I used to have to get out at Shoebox at midnight, lick road clean, eat a couple of bits of cold gravel, work 23 hours a day at mill for a penny every 4 years, and when we got home, Dad used to slice us in half with a bread knife.
The only thing more unbelievable than their claims is how funny this sketch is. Number 13. Spam. Monty Python's Flying Circus.
What you got then? Well, there's egg and bacon, egg, sausage and bacon, egg and spam, egg, bacon and spam.
Although it's a tinned meat of questionable origins, spam is also slang these days for inundating someone with a load of things they don't need. And that definition owes its origins to this sketch.
Spam, 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 egg and spam. Spam, 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 baked beans, spam, spam, spam and spam.
When a couple literally drops into a cafe, the waitress rattles off the menu items, all of which contain spam, sometimes to an absurd degree, while the wife is disgusted and tries unsuccessfully to ask for hers without spam. The husband is all for it.
Look, could I have egg, bacon, spam and sausage without the spam? What do you mean? I don't like spam!
Oh, and their conversation is often interrupted by the other patrons, all of whom appear to be Vikings, who frequently break into a song about spam. Bizarre and language-defining, spam is quintessential Python.
I'm having spam, baked beans, spam and spam.
Baked beans are off!
Number 12. Nudge Nudge, Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Is your wife a goer, eh?
Know what I mean? Nudge.
A nod's as good as a wink to a blind bat, and this sketch is considerably more obvious. Arthur Nudge is an excitable man who approaches an older gentleman at the bar. Using various confusing innuendos, he inquires after the man's wife. His frequent exclamations of wink wink, nudge nudge leave the gentleman nonplussed at first.
Your wife interested in photographs, eh? Know what I mean?
Photographs? He asked him knowingly.
However, as Mr. Nudge dances more and more around the subject, the man eventually asks him what he's getting at.
Look, are you insinuating something?
Oh, yes.
Well?
After much prevarication, Mr. Nudge fesses up in one of Python's best punchlines. Say no more.
I mean, look, you slept with a lady.
Yes.
What's it like?
Number 11. French Taunting, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. King Arthur's quest for the Holy Grail is not without its obstacles. The first of these we'll be discussing is when his knights arrive at a castle. After hailing its occupants, they're surprised to discover that they're French.
Well, what are you then?
I'm French! Why do you think I have this outrageous accent, you silly king?
The outrageously accented god that greets them then proceeds to troll them mercilessly, claiming that they've already got a Holy Grail.
I fart in your general direction. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberries.
His insults include breaking wind towards their general area and insinuating their parents were rodents and or smell like berries, which is a surprisingly accurate medieval insult. With its incredibly quotable dialogue and combat involving farm animals as projectiles, this scene is one that has left its mark on pop culture, no doubt shaped like a large wooden rabbit.
If you do not agree to my commands, then I shall...
Number 10. Dirty Hungarian Phrasebook, Monty Python's Flying Circus. This was the 1970s, a time when everybody still smoked. As such, if you were heading abroad, you'd be in need of a robust phrasebook that could help you buy cigarettes in a pinch.
I will not buy this record, it is scratched. I'm sorry? I will not buy this record, it is scratched.
Unfortunately, the phrasebook in this famous sketch is anything but. The Hungarian tourist, played by Cleese, visits a tobacconist, played by Jones, and employs his best translations.
Do you want to come back to my place, bouncy, bouncy?
That'll be 6 shillings, please.
If I said you had a beautiful body, would you hold it against me?
Jones, being British, he's relentlessly polite, even in the case of increasingly inappropriate phrases. But when he tries to say something in Hungarian, he gets punched in the face.
What's all this in?
You have beautiful thighs.
What? He hit me.
Drop your panties, Arthur. I cannot wait till lunchtime.
The phrasebook's creator is later put on trial for intending to breach the peace. But sometimes in life, your hovercraft actually is full of eels.
My hovercraft is full of eels.
What?
My hovercraft is full of eels.
Number 9. Always look on the bright side of life. Monty Python's Life of Brian. It's the end of the film, and Brian, still mistakenly identified as the Messiah, is being crucified following an abortive attempt to rescue him.
Cheer up, Brian. You know what they say? Some things in life are bad. They can really make you mad. Other things just make you swear and curse.
Brian, played by Chapman, is serenaded by fellow criminal Eric Idle.
Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the light side of life.
Always Look on the Bright Side of Life isn't just hilarious because of the absurdity of it being performed during a crucifixion, but it's also an outstanding song in its own right.
If life seems jolly rotten, there's something you've forgotten, and that's to laugh and smile and dance and sing.
In a lot of ways, it's gone way beyond even the Pythons, and has been reissued as a single numerous times. Such as its renown, Idol appeared at the 2012 Olympics to perform it, after failing to be launched from a cannon.
So always look on the bright side of death.
Number 8. Argument Clinic. Monty Python's Flying Circus.
I'd like to have an argument, please.
Certainly, sir. Have you been here before?
No, this is my first time.
Michael Palin arrives at a strange clinic that charges people for a good, solid row.
Is this the right room for an argument?
I've told you once.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have. When? Just now.
It's Cleese in an office, and he immediately starts to argue about whether Palin is even there for an argument or not, in a debate that quickly descends into the ontological nature of arguing.
No, this isn't an argument.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. It's just contradiction.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
It is not.
Palin runs out of time, though, and then begins arguing with Cleese about whether he got the 5 minutes of arguing he paid for, whether he's paid at all, and whether Cleese is, in fact, arguing pro bono.
Well, if I didn't pay, why are you arguing? Gotcha.
No, you haven't.
Is that? If you're arguing, I must have paid.
Not necessarily. I could be arguing in my spare time.
The landmark sketch has since become beloved by students of language and philosophy for its complexity, and we're sure we'll see plenty of argument clinics in the comments below. Number 7. Hell's Grannies. Monty Python's Flying Circus. Idol's a television reporter, letting the public know about the latest menace to British society, a gang of marauding old women.
An ugly kind of violence is rife, stalking the town. Yes, gangs of old ladies attacking fit, defenseless young men.
It's a parody of the Hells Angels, and features a man outfitted in biker gear saying that even he is scared to go outside with the grannies around.
Yeah, sometimes there's 3 or 4 of them. It's not even safe to go out down to the shops anymore.
They day drink in public, assault young men, trip people over, and destroy phone boxes. Idol says the grannies are rebelling because they're so enraged about their children becoming accountants, and they promptly trick him into falling through a manhole.
And they begin to wonder, is it all worth it? Is it all...
It turns out that the Hells Grannies are just one novelty street gang of many, all terrorising 1970s London.
And also vicious gangs of keep left signs.
Number 6. The Spanish Inquisition. Monty Python's Flying Circus. We're now in the year 1912, and a husband and wife are bickering over the trouble at mill.
What on earth does that mean?
I don't know. Mr. Wentworth just told me to come in here and say that there was trouble at the mill, that's all. I didn't expect a kind of Spanish Inquisition.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
A trio of Spanish Inquisitors arrive, but they keep flubbing the speech Michael Palin is trying to make, forcing them to repeatedly leave and come back.
I can't say it. You'll have to say it.
What?
You'll have to say the bit about our chief weapons are.
I couldn't do that.
They get more and more expected each time, and it becomes a meta joke when they also keep reappearing in the same episode. Eventually, everybody is expecting the Spanish Inquisition to arrive and accuse them of various crimes against the Pope.
How do you plead?
We're innocent.
We'll soon change your mind about that.
They've also unfortunately left all their violent medieval torture devices behind in Spain, much to their upset. Number 5. The Lumberjack Song. Monty Python's Flying Circus. After leaving a different sketch, Michael Palin ends up in the woods with Connie Booth on his arm, and a troop of Canadian Mounties nearby.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day.
He's a lumberjack and he's okay. He sleeps all night and he works all day.
He launches into this now iconic song about the joys of a lumberjack's simple, pastoral life. But our expectations are quickly subverted.
I cut down trees, I skip and jump. I like to press wildflowers. I put on women's clothes. clothing and hang around in bars.
The lumberjack reveals he likes to dress as a woman in his free time, and it's this he also associates with the hyper-masculine life of a lumberjack. Suffice to say, the chorus of Mounties and the woman he's with don't take kindly to this revelation.
I cut down trees where he'll suspend his underbra. I wish I'd been a girlie, just like my dear papa.
His confession means he gets pelted with tomatoes and booed off. This was also released as a single.
Oh, babies! And I thought you were so budge!
Number 4. The Ministry of Silly Walks. Monty Python's Flying Circus. The genius of this sketch lies in its simplicity, as when you really get down to it, it really is just a group of people doing silly walks. But it's still got the characteristic Python complexity, because it takes inspiration from a long history of physical comedy. And much of those silly walks aren't easy to pull off. It's certainly a testament to Cleese's talents as a physical actor.
Mr. Purier, the very real problem is one of money. I'm afraid that the Ministry of Silly is no longer getting the kind of support that it needs. You see?
He skips around, goose steps, flails wildly, and does all manner of bizarre movements. Nobody else in the sketch really bats an eyelid as Cleese arrives for his job at the titular government ministry, where he and his colleagues all develop surreal, silly walks for everyday use.
Take a look at this then.
Number 3. The Black Knight, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. The fearsome Black Knight's only job is to guard a plank of wood, and he'll be damned if he lets King Arthur get past him.
None shall pass. What? None shall pass.
Arthur initially wants to recruit him, but the knight takes his duty extremely seriously, and they engage in battle. The famous scene results in Arthur lobbing off the knight's limbs one by one, which the knight repeatedly claims are minor injuries.
Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left.
Yes, I have. Look! Just a flesh wound.
The knight's love of taunting is matched only by the rude Frenchman who appears later on, both portrayed by Cleese. He and his many flesh wounds have been referenced countless times in works influenced by the Pythons.
All right, we'll call it a draw.
Number 2. The funniest joke in the world, Monty Python's Flying Circus. You could say that the Pythons came up with many of the funniest jokes in the world during their careers, but none of them were quite on the level of this one.
It was obvious the joke was lethal.
The struggling writer, Ernest Scribbler, suddenly comes up with a joke so funny he immediately dies of laughter. His mother comes into the room to check on him and suffers the same terrible fate. The joke is later retrieved for use by the British Army so that they can deploy it during war.
It's a joke so deadly, it could have Fritz's forces falling about.
They translate the joke into German to see if it still works, and get into a joke arms race that results in a ban on joke warfare.
In action, it was deadly.
Number 1. The Dead Parrot, Monty Python's Flying Circus. It couldn't be any other. Not only is the Dead Parrot possibly the greatest and most famous Python sketch of all time, but it's also one of the greatest sketches ever written, full stop.
Oh yes, the Norwegian Blue. What's wrong with it?
I'll tell you what's wrong with it, my lad. It's dead. That's what's wrong with it.
John Cleese arrives at a pet shop with a dead parrot, presenting it to shopkeeper Michael Palin, who insists that the parrot isn't dead so that he doesn't have to deal with Cleese's complaint.
No, that's not dead, it's resting.
Resting?
Yeah, resting.
Palin insists that the parrot is just sleeping, despite Cleese absurdly proving the contrary.
Raise and change! This is your 9 o'clock alarm call!
The parrot is stone cold dead, something Palin knew about when he sold the thing. But, of course, selling parrots is no job for a lumberjack.
That parrot is definitely deceased. And when I bought it not half an hour ago, you assured me that its total lack of movement was due to it being tired and shagged out after a long squawk.
Is there a Monty Python sketch that has you laughing till you're pushing up the daisies? drop 16 tons of your favourites in the comments.
Spam, egg, spam, spam, bacon and spam. Spam, 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 egg and spam.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.